Hello and welcome to Awaken Within. Welcome back to another episode. And if you saw the title of this episode, you'll know that today we're talking all things nutrition, which is really exciting. So the title is your food your medicine or your poison? And you will start to see a little bit more or a lot more nutritional and herbal content coming through my media channels as I prepare to move more into that realm. And I'll speak a little bit more about that at another time. But let's get into today's episode. So we're talking and asking the question, is your food your medicine or your poison? And there was a famous quote by Hippocrates, and he said that we should let food be thy medicine and thy medicine be food. And although we are multi-dimensional beings and our food and our nutrition is just one pillar of well-being, it is a really important one. And that is what we're going to be talking about today. And I've heard someone say, and I don't know who originally said this, but I have heard someone say that everything that you put in your mouth is either fighting or feeding disease. And I think that this is so true, and it just really shows how much power is in our hands and in our mouths about the state of our well-being and how we can cultivate either a really healthy, abundant, vibrant life, or if we can start to really head more towards that disease path, which is definitely not what we want. So let's talk a little bit deeper about nutrition. So what do we want to look at here? This is a very, very vast, very deep topic, which will be probably broken up into a few different episodes. And of course, if you want to have a one-to-one session with me, this is what we dive into for your specific needs. But I wanted to touch on a few broad concepts that I think are really important in terms of how we can cultivate well-being through our nutrition. So let's look firstly at the physical nutritional content of the food. So you want to have a look at, so you obviously have all of your macros. You want to look at fat and carbohydrates and your proteins, and then we've got our minerals. Like, it just gets broken down and down and down even further. So it can be quite complex, but at the same time, as long as you're eating food from the earth, that's going to be your best bet. So we'll go there shortly, but that's some of the things that you want to look at is like, are you getting all of the nutrients that you require? And depending on what life stage you're at, this is going to vary. If you're a man or you're a woman, you're a child, you're pregnant, you've just had a baby, like there's just so many variables. But this is where working with someone can really be so supportive for you. But the reason that it's so important that you're making sure that you're getting enough content is that you want to make sure that all of your systems are operating and functioning correctly. So we have so many internal systems that are just working so tirelessly for us day in and day out. And it's really our job to make sure that we're providing the most harmonious and optimal environment for them to flourish. So some of these systems include our digestive system, immune system, circulatory system, nervous system, our hormones, our brain health. Like, there's just so many layers to it. And all of these systems are directly impacted by the foods that we consume. And as I said before, there's definitely so many other pillars of health that impact those, but food is a really low-hanging fruit that we can grab a hold of and take power into our hands, and also making sure that we're still having pure enjoyment and pleasure from our food as well. And specific foods and plants and herbs, they have an affinity with different parts of the body as well, and different systems of the body. So we can really get specific about what, I guess, systems in our body might need a little bit of extra attention, a little bit of extra love at any given time, particularly if you are experiencing some imbalances or some health challenges as well. And it's not just in those times of challenge or imbalance that we can use our food as medicine. It really is to cultivate general well-being, to cultivate vitality and longevity. And as I said before, really making sure that we are having this deep sense of nourishment and enjoyment and pleasure from our food, because oftentimes when we're eating, we are connecting with others during that time, and that's a really beautiful thing as well. So that is the nutritional content of the food. The next thing I wanted to touch on is the energetics of our food, and I've broken this down into two parts here. So the first one is the way that the food has been prepared, and the second one is the energetics of the food itself. So as well as having specific nutritional components to the food also has energetic and elemental components to it as well. And this is where you can really start to align your nutrition to both the external season that you're in, but also the internal season that you're in as well. As I touched on before, for example, if you're menstruating, you're pregnant, post-pregnancy, you're navigating something in your life, you're working through a health challenge or an imbalance, like these are all things that we need to consider both nutritionally, but also in an energetic and an elemental perspective as well. And I just want you to have a little think about the energetic qualities of the food, of how it's prepared, and where it's come from. So visualize or sort of feel into the difference between a home-cooked meal, and it's really hearty, and it's made with love, and it's cooked slow, and it's in a really calm, relaxed, grounded state. So think about that, the qualities that will be imbued into the food, versus consuming something, let's say from a fast food restaurant, or even a meal from like a busy cafe where you can see that the staff are under the pump. Maybe it's like a rush hour, like at lunchtime or something like that. And the thing is that energy is real, and it's imbued and transferred into the food that we eat. So wherever possible, it really is optimal to prepare home-cooked meals from scratch, as I said, with love, with intention, and with a high vibrational state. And fresh is always best too. So here again, if you can think about this in an energetic sense as well, like the difference between getting some food directly from Mother Earth, or as close, if you're going to your farmer's market, or if you have the fortune to grow your own food, think about the energetic vibration of that versus something that's processed and packaged and come from a long production line. So that's something to consider as well. Really, really important. And I don't know if you've had that experience yourself of how you feel afterwards, physically and also energetically, preparing your own food versus having it maybe out at a restaurant or something like that. So just something to consider. And I think it's really, really important as well. The next thing I wanted to touch on is, and I always speak about this, is it's important. Yes, it is important what you're eating, absolutely, like we've just been speaking about, but also how you're eating as well is really important. And what I'm speaking to here is your emotional state, or if you're rushed and that kind of thing. And the reason for this is because there's such a strong connection between the gut and the brain. The emotional state in which you consume your food is really important, and the way that you set the space for your food. So you might have had this experience as well. Just have a think about if you have had times when, say, you've got something early in the morning that you've got to do, maybe going to work or some other commitment, and you've you've had this experience where you're sort of rushing, you're on a bit of a schedule, and you kind of just like shove something in your mouth on the way out the door. Or maybe it's more of you're at work and you work at like a desk job, and you're sitting at your computer all day, and instead of taking like a proper lunch break, you just bring your food to your desk and you're eating while you're multitasking. So you're still working, perhaps you're feeling like a bit under the pump, a little bit stressed. Maybe that's why you haven't left for a lunch break in the first place. And or the other situation is maybe it's you've just had something quite stressful or emotional happen to you, and then you try and eat your lunch afterwards or your dinner afterwards, and then maybe experience some digestive discomfort afterwards. And these are just some examples, but these are some examples of unideal situations to optimize our digestion. And this is one of the reasons, and there's many possible reasons why, but this is one of the many reasons why people have digestive discomfort and digestive issues, is because of stress when it boils down to it. So that's something really important to consider as well. The body needs to be in a calm and relaxed and open and receptive state, being ready to receive the food and to digest the food correctly and assimilate all of the nutrients from your food. So where possible, really just allow yourself to set a beautiful space, an intentional space. Even if you are having a busy day, just do the best that you can with the situation that you find yourself in. And something that I like to do, and I think it's really beautiful, is just to give, just show some love and some gratitude and for your food, and just give your food a little bit of a blessing before you eat it, and that will just really help to raise the energetic vibration of your food as well. One more little thing I wanted to touch on here is, and again, this is another big topic, maybe to be broken down in another episode, but I wanted to talk about the organic versus non-organic debate, I guess, for lack of a better term. It is a big topic, but I wanted to include it here because I just felt like, it needed to be included and just touched on slightly. But, even if you feel like you are eating a healthy diet and you're including lots of fresh foods, but they're coming from commercial properties and commercial farming, oftentimes what you'll find is that the food is laden with toxic chemicals that are detrimental to our well-being in a multitude of ways. And so you have to consider, I guess, we'll weigh up the benefits. And it's not always possible for everyone to eat organic, but where you can, if there's a choice there and it's within your means to choose organic over non-organic, I guess that's definitely the best place to start. And even better, if you have the opportunity, is to go to your farmer's market or grow your own. And I know that growing your own does sound quite overwhelming, but maybe you could just have a little dabble in it, have a little experiment and see what you can grow just within your means and within your space. So growing your own is beautiful. Go to the farmer's market on the weekends or whenever they have them if you can. And then for everything else, just if you have the opportunity, just choose organic where you can. Give everything a really good wash, all of the veggies when you bring them home. And like I touched on earlier, fresh is always best. So fresh over something that's canned or in plastic, because the plastic disrupts our hormones. So it's just one of the things that it does. So anything covered in plastic is not optimal where possible. And even with the packaged foods and the canned foods, I guess we don't always really know what's in the cans and like in the internal lining of the can. So if you can sort of avoid that where possible, but again, if you are buying packaged foods or canned food, just see, you can read through the labels. This is about, us as consumers being discerning and making that extra effort for our well-being. Read the label, see if you can find BPA-free cans and things that are wrapped in other, packaging other than plastic. So these are the main things that I wanted to touch on today. As I said, it's such a deep dive, this topic, and it will continue to be spoken about and explored during this podcast. But this is one of the things some of the main things that I wanted you to consider when we're talking about the concept of using our food as medicine, or potentially, is our food our medicine or our poison? Think about that question, ponder over that question. Have a think about, number one, the nutritional content of your food. Number two, the energetics of your food. Number three, how you're consuming your food, so your emotional state. And then also just opting for fresh and organic where possible over non-organic and non-perishable products. So these are the main things that I wanted to touch on today. I hope this has been helpful for you. Really important main pillar when it comes to well-being is our nutrition. So I'm really excited to share more about this. I'm really passionate about this topic. I'm such a big foodie, and so I'm excited to share more with you about this. But if this concept of really honing in on your nutrition is something that is a little bit foreign to you and you want support, I would love you to reach out and have a one-to-one session with me. That's what they're there for. And they're specifically tailored to your specific circumstances and what you want to achieve and how you live your life. So if you're listening in real time, I do have a special offer at the moment, which is my Nutrition Audit. And this is only for a special for the month of November. You can book in all the way through to the end of this year, 2023. But basically what this is it requires a little bit of pre-work from you as the client. So what you'll do is record all of your nutrition and your water intake for a week. And then during the session, we have a conversation about your desires, your desired outcome, your habits, routines, rituals. And then when you book your appointment, you will have some questions that you will fill out as well. And so collating all of this information, I then craft a specific tailored plan for you with some suggested ways that I feel that you can enhance your nutrition and that will help align you with your desired outcome and your lifestyle. And then I'll also share a little bit more educational information, and that's going to help you to feel really empowered so that you can step into your life and take your nutrition into your own hands. And you'll feel really free to ask me any burning questions that you have. So this is a 60-minute session, personalized care for you from me, and everything will be recorded and sent through to you and beautifully presented in a PDF format. So I'm really excited to have this beautiful offering running until the end of the year. If you want a little bit more of an in-depth look into what's happening for you, you can book one of my single holistic wellness coaching sessions. And these are only available until the end of the year as well, until everything ships next year, which I'm so excited about. But if you want to look at your nutrition plus everything else in your life, you might be better off booking in for a holistic wellness coaching session. So I'm going to put the links for both of those in the bio down below. Of course, if you have any questions, please let me know. But yes, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening in and taking control of your health and your well-being and your nutrition. come on over and chat with me on Instagram. Let me know what you thought of this episode. My handle is @_Beck_Russell. And until next time, take really good care of yourself, and I'll chat to you again soon.